Hey guys, Kevin here from Car Galaxy Studios, gear review number 2. Today we're going to take a look into the realm of anamorphic lens and shooting, and I've developed a custom single focus solution to help you with those projector lenses for that double focusing issue. Stay tuned, we'll check it out.
The Robe, from one of the greatest novels of all time.
In the 1950s film era, CinemaScope was a big deal, and in some cases helped save the film industry from its major competitor, the television.
The man you see arriving here, however, had even grander dreams for motion pictures. Professor Henri Chrétien knew the science of optics was not exhausted, and for 25 years he labored over his crucibles at his Nice, France laboratory until not a year since his molten glass finally yielded the perfected CinemaScope lens.
In 1953, the 20th Century Fox president purchased and licensed the design and bought the existing hypergonar lenses from Henry Chrétien. They designed a new lens and process called CinemaScope.
Note how everything is elongated, compressed. Yet, when corrected, these pictures shown on the new curved Miracle Mirror screen expand 2 times sidewise.
Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about aspect ratios, and in fact, I recommend you check out Filmmaker IQ's video on the subject. Check out the link to the video in the description below, and you can get more information on aspects and the history of filmmaking. Basically, for modern DSLR video shooting, what you need to know is the sensor sizes, and they correlate to aspect ratios. So for the modern digital TV age, 16:9 is a widescreen format widely in use. 4:3 is the old standard, which is also related to the old standard of film as well, but it's also used on the television. So how does this relate to film? Well, film, because it was an analog process and a physical media, it was actually established long before television was. And unfortunately, a lot of the modern DSLRs follow television formatting for their sensor sizes. So film is different than television, and they needed to distinguish themselves. So in order to get some of these film looks, we need some special equipment called anamorphic lenses. Let's take a look at these aspect ratios. So in film, there are a bunch of different aspect ratios, but the most common ones are 1.85 to 1, and 2.35 to 1, which is CinemaScope, and 2.39 to 1. With these old school anamorphics, however, they stretch by a factor of 2, and in a lot of cases on a 16:9 or 1.85 sensor, you get a much wider image, such as on my Canon T6S, I'm getting a 3.55 to 1 aspect after I use the anamorphic lens. So today we're going to focus on 2.35 and 2.39 to 1 when we're talking about film aspects. For more information, please check out that video link I mentioned before in the description below. So we have our explanation as to how anamorphic lenses came about. We have the history behind them. But how does this relate to today's modern day filmmaking and DSLR cameras?
So the biggest change in modern times has to be the DSLR digital camera bodies. They've gotten to the point now where you can do 4K video. So how does this relate to the old anamorphic lenses, and why do we care? The biggest, because they were never meant to work on DSLR camera bodies.
But that's all changed now with modern day adapters and technology changes in some of the 4K cameras.
There are a lot of debates now about the best 4K film for the consumer market. However, until this year, there really wasn't a camera that kind of hit all the points in one area, and that is video or filmmaking. And this camera that we're talking about is the Panasonic GH5.
So the reason the GH5 is so special is that it has an anamorphic mode that's capable of 4K video at 24 frames per second in the 4:3 aspect. This makes it the perfect companion for an anamorphic 2x times compression lens.
So reasons for me picking the GH5, one, it's got a micro 4/3 sensor, and if you understand the history of film and what we talked about in the aspect ratios, the 4/3 size is actually the best size for doing anamorphic. And the reason is because when you stretch it by 2x, you're going to get a higher vertical resolution in your finished product. Actual film size is actually closer to the Super 35 sensor size, and that is the 1.6x crop, which is like a Canon DSLR at 1.6x.
Now I'm using these terms interchangeably, but when we talk about 4/3, we're actually talking about the actual aspect. We're not talking about the micro 4/3 sensor. However, the micro 4/3 sensor is smaller than the 1.6x crop sensor. As a result, the micro 4/3 gets less light in general into the sensor than a crop sensor or a full frame sensor. There is also the issue of depth of field that is a lot less on a 4/3 sensor. So you may ask yourself, why bother at all with a micro 4/3 sensor?
But again, price has always been a consideration, and there are a lot of DSLRs, crop sensor cameras like the Canon T6S, which I'm shooting this video on, that are even cheaper than the GH5. However, you can't do 4K with them. That's only a matter of time, however, as I think Canon will end up changing. But you just can't beat the GH5, and the one reason is because it has a special anamorphic mode, whereas the Canon T6S doesn't, and some of the lower end bodies don't. This anamorphic mode allows you to shoot the entire sensor. So if you're shooting the entire sensor, you're getting the full vertical and horizontal resolution of the sensor. The other reason it fits the bill for our specific single focus solution is because the larger the sensor size, the more vignetting that you have in the image. And with the micro 4/3 sensor size, it's the right size to be able to afford to buy the glass on the end to do the single focus. We'll go into that in a little bit more detail shortly. Now you may ask why I don't have a GH5 or why I'm not shooting on a GH5. Well, frankly, that's kind of a sad tale. You know, boy wants camera, boy can't afford camera, boy doesn't get camera, boy loses career, boy tries to change career, goes into filmmaking, becomes poor. You know, that sad story. Shh, Panasonic, if you're watching, please send me a GH5. I had a GH5 for me. It's not 4K. Panasonic, send me a GH5 or the Canon gets it. Oh, no, I can't do that. Poor Canon. Oh, Panasonic, how you doing? Did you want a Girl Guide cookie? They're the mint ones. All you have to do is send me a GH5 and I'll give you a box. Oh, Panasonic. Oh, you want to know what's wrong? I went to the doctor and they said I only have 2 weeks to live. And they said the only thing that's going to save me is to get a GH5 and to have my picture taken at 10-bit 422, 60 frames per second in 4K. I can't do that right now. The only thing you have to do is ship me a GH5 and you will save my life. Can you believe that? Anyone? You're not buying this, are you? let's just get back to the video.
So anamorphic projector lenses were never really meant to work on DSLRs. In fact, you have to focus each lens separately in order to get a clear image. If the taking lens or the anamorphic lens is out of focus just by a little bit, you don't get a clear image. In order for us to get around this issue, we have to use a single focus solution. Both the taking lens and the anamorphic lens are both set to infinity focus, and the single focus does the rest. Not a new technique, but it's fairly straightforward. To achieve macro or close focus, you move the tube out. To get infinity focus, you move the tube in. The tube, of course, has a wide-angle lens on the end and diopters on the anamorphic side.
How does a single focus solution work? Well, essentially it's basically just a tube with wide-angle lens that slides over top of the anamorphic lens. Now the anamorphic lens also has a +6 total diopter on the end, so you're getting a really compressed optic with a wide-angle optic, and they work together. And when the tube is all the way towards the other lens, you get more of an infinity focus, and then when it's on the end, you get a very close up or close to the lens focusing point. Okay, so we've explained our custom single focus solution, what anamorphics are. Let's cut to some real world examples to show you what this thing can do. Well, that's the end of the review for today. I just want to say thank you for watching the video, and if you like this video, please give us a like down below. Also consider subscribing down below. Also, I have a blog article on anamorphic on a budget. It's a 3-part series that I did in prep for this video. Check that out in the links in the description below. Also, if you want to get a t-shirt like the one I'm wearing, we have them at our website at www.cargalaxy.com. You can buy them at any time. Once again, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.